Hello, everybody. Hello, my loves. Hello, hello. We're just going to give it a few minutes or a minute or so for everybody to hop on and get notified. When you're hopping on, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. May the 4th be with you. For all the fans out there. Hey, Lynette. How are you? Good afternoon. I almost said good morning. I was so off on my time. Let's offer everybody a little sage. Let's clear it out. Take a breath. Breathe it in. We got a lot to cover today, you guys. I can't even tell you. So I was wondering, I'm like, why am I not getting any updates for May? Like normally I get downloads. I'm like, why isn't this happening? Like where are all my downloads at? And then so Saturday night, about 1 a.m., they all started to come in. Hey, Vanessa. Hi. Hello. And share this out, you guys. We have a lot to talk about. We've got a lot to cover. So this conversation is going to be going back and forth between speaking from a quantum perspective and speaking from a linear human perspective. So if there's anything that I say that you don't understand, don't try to think about it and get in your head about it. Just receive it into your heart, okay? So for those who are new to me, I'm Johanna Burkhardt, and I am a spiritual teacher and healer amongst many other things. And today we're just going to be talking about the energy. And the way that I want to bring this update forward is I want you to think about the energy update as the container, okay? This is the structure of the energy. So the outer planets really are different aspects of our ego. And so what those do is when the planets do something, right? Retrograde, transit, right? It's really helping us to uncover, right? Bring to the surface, take the lid off, if you will, of kind of what's been hanging out down there, right? That we haven't really given a lot of light and attention to. So these shifts are really, really important. Hi, Rachel. Hi, you guys. Yay, I'm so excited. Please share, let people know that we're here. So that's how I want you to see this update. I want you to see it as the structure that you get to flow in, okay? Because when I give energy updates, I'm giving it in a kind of a global perspective, kind of the structuring perspective. And so while this is the bones of the energy, right? It's the structure of the energy. How you flow in that is up to you, right? And it will have, there's other things that come into factor, like your personal chart and your personal transit. So for some, this structuring, these bones aren't going to be super dramatic, but for others, it is going to be, okay? So we had a couple of themes that we have 3 themes that we're going to discuss today. And so we're going to dive into that. Whew. You guys, what we're about to step into is really going to shake some stuff up for the next 18 months. It's really going to be bringing duality to the main stage, right? Because duality is a 3rd, 4th dimensional consciousness, all right? So when we talk about, I'm just going to say this real quick so people understand. When we talk about new earth, when we talk about 5D, it isn't a new place, okay? Dimension is a level of consciousness. It's an energetic frequency and the rate of speed of which we process information, okay? So when we talk about 3D, 4D, 5D, what we're talking about is the awareness of your consciousness and the rate of speed in which you are processing information, right? Receiving, letting go of, receiving, letting go of, right? It's that balanced flow. So even though we think 3D as tangible, solid, right? Yes, that is a piece of it. Because in 3rd and 4th dimensions, density exists, right? And so when you move beyond that, when you start getting into the 5th dimensional consciousness, we start to teeter. right? We start to have that understanding of unity consciousness, of everybody being on the same page, but being objective and observatory, and getting, learning how, like your training wheels of how to choose what's in alignment for you. And then when we have the third dimensional consciousness, this is very limited, right? There's a lot of walls, and our walls are our beliefs. And so again, we get very narrow perspectives, and we don't have any room to breathe for that to expand. And so what's really happening, there's so many different shifts happening right now. So we have people that have really been in that third, fourth dimensional shift, right? That energy where people are starting to come in the fourth dimension, which is a lot of conspiracy and discovery and disclosure and minds being blown wide open, right? So it's not even have to be anything about disclosure or conspiracy or theories or anything like that, right? So let's just drop the word conspiracy and just go with theories. And it has nothing really to do with that, but it's about, we receive information that our logical brain, because our brain is very primitive. Our logical brain can't compute. And so it blows our mind open, and it opens up our heart. That energy has to drop into our heart, and we have to be able to feel and understand and make sense of what we're taking in, what we are consuming digitally, right? Via the television, via social media platforms, via the word, right? People talking and just talking about their opinions, their beliefs, their truths. And then you have the shift from people who have really been in the 5D, kind of getting their training wheels on how to choose and how to create their reality based upon their response or reaction to anything. And those people are getting ready to move into sixth and seventh dimensional consciousnesses, which hold no density, right? Which means we are really in that objective point of view. So we're able to see all parts and pieces of ourselves. It's not that we're no longer human. It's that we recognize the human aspect. We recognize the inner the inner child. We recognize the higher self. We recognize the body. We recognize all these aspects, and we see them as a family unit, right? So for those of you who are in my my experience, my digital experience, Unity, they'll know what I'm talking about, right? Because that's when we get all the aspects of ourself onto the same page so that we can start to work together and not against each other. And that's really important. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so we have three main themes that we're going to dive into. So the first one is rising up, right? This is us taking our power back. This is new leaders being formed and created, new leaders who have been working behind the scenes, doing this work, preparing for this event, really kind of taking the main stage and coming into the spotlight, and really people starting to discover them. And then we also have, like I said, those new leaders that are feeling that call, right? You've been hearing that call, that desire to stand up and be the change, to create something, to step out and speak your truth. Right? So that's the first theme that's going to be starting to run. The second theme is grace, compassion, letting go. Because we'll dive deeper into it, but it takes grace and compassion to let go. We have to be able to come into a divine acceptance of what is, not in a way of settling or bargaining, but in a way of, I'm not going to fight with what is, which is what we call reality, what is actually in the moment. But instead, how can I change the way that I feel about what is? How can I create and be in a good vibration in what is? Okay. And then the third and kind of the last theme of the month is kind of a timeline jump. So how I was shown it was by the end of the month, getting towards the end of the month. It may even bleed into a little bit into June, but this is when we're going to go through quite a big acceleration. And so I call those timeline jumps. And so collectively, we're going to be jumping ahead, and a lot of things are going to have to surface. We're going to have to make a ton of space. And that's really what grace is for me. It's about when we let go and we have grace, it's about making space, right? And in order for people who are leaders or influencers in this world, they have to make a lot of space within themselves, which means they have to let go of their old programming, their old beliefs, their old conditioning, their 3D ways of thinking, right? Because those no longer apply here. All right, they no longer apply. Everything is changing, and it's not about holding on to what was. We want to let go so we can make room for what's about to arrive. Okay? So let's go over some important dates and get into this. Yay. So the biggest thing, and why I keep saying, let me grab this real quick. Sorry, guys. Duality is taking the main stage is because we have a very big event happening tomorrow. And for some of you, you are already experiencing this and feeling this. We have our lunar nodes shifting. Okay, so the north and south nodes are going to be having transits happening. They're going to be shifting their locations. And this is really, really big because the north node and the north node represents the unknown, right? The very thing that we know we need to kind of step into, but we're afraid to. So we haven't. We've been playing that game of not stepping into our power and kind of going forward and back. Like, you know, it's like the elevator opens on the fifth floor and you're like, let me just peek and see if this is something I want to play in, right? Now it's like you need to step off, right? So the north node is the direction that you need to go in. We need to move in collectively, individually. It represents, like I said, the unknown, the things that we need to embrace, the things that we need to master, right? So let's talk about that, because the north node right now is in Cancer, and Cancer is the nurturer. It's the mama bear. It's emotional. It's fluid. It loves to kind of love on people, right? It's all about family, connection. We have a lot of very intuitive people who are Cancers. I'm a triple water sign. I'm a Cancer sun. So it's moving out of that energy into Gemini. And Gemini is like the king and queen of duality. It's both sides of the coin. Okay. So when we talk about Gemini, I have notes because I tend to go off topic. Gemini represents how we process information, how we understand information. Because oftentimes when someone is speaking to us, we're up in our brain, right? And we're trying to logically break it down and make sense of it. But when you understand something, it's an emotional thing. It's an emotional understanding. It's not having to logically understand it, but you just know, you receive it and you're like, I can't put words to it, but I understand it. Okay. It's learning new skills, new modalities. It's personal development, right? Again, those people who are feeling the call are going to feel this urge to start creating a new way. Like how I feel this call. It's my time to blog, to show up on YouTube, to teach, to do whatever it is that you feel called to do, right? I know for me personally, I've seen an influx in people inquiring about private mentorship because they are ready. They're like, let's make the space, show me the tech, let's do it. I'm ready to be in that spotlight. Okay. And those are the people that I'm starting to attract, the people who are dedicated and they are serious and they're like, it's time. And I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen, but I just know I have to do this. And so it's been a shift, right? So this shift's already been happening for me a little bit. And I've already been seeing this, the change in just the people who I work with, right? So these are the people that are coming to me now. They're like, I'm ready. I'm ready to be that leader, to be the change, because what's happening outside of me doesn't resonate with me. It's not feeling good. And I want to be the creator, a builder of the new earth. I want to be one of those people on the front line, leading the charge, showing them by example. And that's the kind of energy that we're going to start out with, right? This is the energy. You're going to start to see these grassroots movements, people just coming together locally, right? So this is Gemini is more local energy. It's less international travel, it's less worldwide issues, and more of local grassroots up levels. This shit ain't working. Let's gather our people, our community. Let's create a change. Let's create a new way, and let's be it, right? So that's a lot of what you're going to see right out the gate, right? That's the kind of energy we're stepping into. Okay. But Chantel says you're describing how I'm feeling. Yeah, that's, you guys, this weekend, there was a huge, for those of us that are way showers, that are star seeds, that kind of feel things a little ahead of time than when, you know, the actual astrological event or shift happens. It's because we're feeling the energy. So you receive that energy and then the manifestation takes form. Okay. So that's why some people feel it later and some people feel it earlier, because if you're in tune to the actual energy coming in, then you're going to start to experience this before it's manifested. Okay. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury, which is all about our internal communication and our external communication. So we're going back to what I was talking about with all of us getting on the same page internally. Okay. So if you guys have followed me for a while, you know that I always say we manifest based upon our state of being. Okay. So what does that mean? That means whatever's happening internally inside is what's going to show up in your physical reality, whether it's someone bringing it to you or a situation or accident occurring, right? It has to, whatever's happening internally, the universe has to give you it. The universe only knows yes. So when you come into unity with your internal family, right? So this is where we come into multidimensionality. So I'm going to pause before going on and just talk about that for just a moment, because I have really been feeling called to talk about this. And I want to make sure that everybody understands what multidimensionality means, okay? So multidimensionality is we have different aspects of our being. We have a human aspect, right? That is kind of ruled by our ego, and sometimes our inner child, right? Depending on what's happening. We have our higher self, right? Who is the one who is guiding us forward. And the higher self can't come into that density. It has to remain at the heart or above level. It's not going to reach down. You have to come in and bring your density up. You have to allow it to rise into your heart space. Okay. And then we have our bodies, and our bodies are super intelligent. Because when we understand that we have a light body, and someone asked me about this recently, and I'll probably do a video on it, but the reason why our body is in form is because it's billions of tiny light codes held together in a dimension of density. And the third and fourth dimensions are thicker, they're denser. And the only way I can describe it is if you've ever been anywhere humid and you get off the plane and you're not used to it and you walk out and you're like, you hit that wall of humidity. That is the best way to describe density. Okay. Things kind of be able to hold together more. So our body is super intelligent. It knows what we want. It knows how to fix itself. It knows how to do all those things. But inside of that body lies a lot of karma, a lot of unresolved emotions, things that you have repressed, depressed, hidden away from yourself, abandoned from yourself, rejected, whatever, right? And then you have the karma piece, which people misunderstand karma, but whatever is in your lineage, right? So let's go 7 lineages back, 7 people back. If there was abuse or trauma or things in that lineage that was unresolved, it's passed down to you through epigenetics. Okay. And so I've talked a lot about this type of stuff, but this is we're leading somewhere, right? We need to get in tune with our body. We need to get in tune to how we speak to it, how it speaks to us. Because when it starts talking, it means we've already missed the boat. We haven't been listening to our intuition. We haven't been listening to the nudge. So when the body starts acting up, When the body starts showing signs of dis-ease or discomfort, it means now it's going to show us what we weren't willing to hear. Okay. So multidimensionality means that we have a human aspect, we have a higher self aspect, right? We have fear personalities. There are multiple versions of us inside of us, and we want to get them all on the same page, because oftentimes when we go through an awakening and we start to become more aware of ourself, we start to have these big inner battles. And that's what's happening because we're going through the Great Awakening. So earlier this year, that was ripped open, right? And people's minds were starting to be ripped open. Their security was taken away from them. Their stability was taken away from them. Their rights were taken away from them. So they've been blown open. And now they're becoming more aware of themselves, which means they understand that they have both sides of the coin inside of them. And so they're battling their ego versus their higher self. And there's this battle. Sometimes it's the ego and the inner child that's battling. But that battle has been going on for centuries inside of us, right? Through all of our ancestors. And now it's coming to the main stage. So that means that as we move forward, a lot of energy is going to be being dredged up and kept being brought to the surface. And what it's asking us to do is to observe it and say, oh my gosh, does this still resonate with me? Is this something that still is a match for me? Because that's all resonance means, right? When you hear someone talking and you're like, oh my God, that resonates. That means that their truth and your truth are a match. Okay? So when you're watching things on the internet or you're listening to something and it doesn't resonate with you, all that means is that's their truth and it's not your truth. Okay? Do you see the difference? So people are starting to question and doubt what is resonating within them. What is true from them anymore? Right? This is the very bottom. This is how it begins. The mind gets blown open. Everything gets blown open and everybody's like, oh my God, everything that I thought was secure and everything that I thought was stable and everything that I thought I needed to create stability outside of me has been taken. And now I'm being asked, right? We were asked to go within, right? 6 weeks, 40 days, something like that. Go within. And what a perfect time for us to decide what is our truth. And now that the world is beginning to open up, we're being asked to get all the aspects inside of us on the same page and to make space and to choose for ourselves. That's all just in the North Node. The South Node, and you're going to see how this works, is moving from Capricorn, to Sagittarius. And you guys are going to feel this pressure release. I felt it overnight. So actually, I would say it's Saturday night is when I felt the pressure release, but it's been gradually releasing more and more. And I could just feel, it felt like I had the whole world on my shoulders and my arms out, like I was holding up something. And then this morning, it was like they just said, let go and drop. And it just felt like this huge pressure release through my whole body. With Sagittarius, though, Sagittarius is, you're going to start feeling things like, how is the best way to describe this? So Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is a planet of expansion, right? And so I'm talking about unresolved karma, unresolved emotional issues. Jupiter is going to be blowing that shit wide open. It's going to be blowing it out so that you can see it, right? There's going to be no mistaking it. It's not that you're not going to need to go digging for it, right? This is stuff that is unfinished business. It's stuff that hasn't fully manifested yet. It's stuff that you haven't paid your dues on that's coming back around, right? That's karma, unfinished business, unresolved emotions that have been trapped in your body. It's going to be bringing all that. And the South Node is where we've been. The South Node is the past, if you will, and the North is the future, right? And the now moment is the now moment. So you're being guided by the north into the unknown, and the south node is going to continue to dredge that up. Now, here's how this works with duality. With duality, for one, if you ever look at Trump, watch him speak, he's a Gemini. He is also a 1-3 like me. And it's very interesting to watch him because he has the duality, right? It probably won't happen, but it might. It's going to happen, but it probably won't, right? That's duality. And the reason why we're going to be seeing duality take the main stage is because in the third and fourth dimensional consciousnesses, that war, that battle of the ego and the higher self, the light and the dark, if you will, is going to be brought to the main stage. It's going to be the focal point. So again, you're going to have a lot of new disclosures, truths being revealed on many, many different levels, individually in your own lives, and then on the collective grand stage. Okay? When we look at Sagittarius, we understand that it's also ruled by the liver, right? Where we process our life. The liver is where we process our life and our emotions. It's going to be the hips, right? Where we carry our baggage, right? So those are going to be, and even the thighs, right? Because those muscles help keep our self upright, right? And help us to move forward in life, right? So there's going to be a lot of energy in those areas being brought to the surface and in your body. But with this whole duality on the main stage, you're going to have that disclosure. You're going to have a lot of big flips and rebalancing. So there's going to be big flips in money situations. So maybe if you've been struggling financially all this time and you've been doing the work to change your beliefs and make space in you, you can expect things like big financial flips, like someone going from broke to very wealthy very quick, or people who are very wealthy and controlling of the money going bankrupt and losing. So this is where we're going to watch our financial system change over the next 18 months. We're going to watch our school system, our governments, everything is going to start to break down because we're going to have these huge flips and rebalancings. And you know what's funny is when we're talking about this flipping of energy and rebalancing, there's somewhere, and I don't remember where it was, there's some country where there's been like an invasion of pink flamingos. And pink flamingos represent balance. They represent that rebalancing effect because they're able to stand and balance on that single leg. So that was just a sign that, of what's to come. And I thought that was really, really cool. So the south node represents the problem. The north node represents the solution, right? So again, you cannot find the problem and heal the problem within the problem. Right? So you need that time and space, which is something that I have been giving myself with things that I have been working with. And it's really important to understand that. So if you're in a toxic environment in your home or in your job or wherever it may be, it's really hard to heal the toxin or the problem. So think of it as my mentor calls it an allergy, right? The trigger as an allergy. So whatever is attacking you allergically, you have to stop using it for a while. You have to get away from it. You have to give yourself time and space so that you can heal it. Okay. You cannot heal it in the same environment. It'd be like being allergic to dairy and trying to work on healing the dairy while consuming the dairy. It doesn't work. You have to kind of give yourself that space, right? And again, that's why if you have been somebody that hasn't been taking care of yourself, now's the time to start, because with Sagittarius being in the south node, it's really going to show up in your body. It's really going to show itself and say, you don't want to take care of yourself. We're going to, those systems are going to begin to break down, right? Because there's a lot, I just keep feeling this, the body, the integration of our light body into our physical body, right? That embodiment is happening. And so if the light can't come in, there's density in that way. That density is going to start to have growth on it, right? So you have to learn to let go, to change, to reset. You're also going to see a lot of this, which is interesting. You're going to see a lot of people who are normally like very, loud and strong and confident and maybe even has anger or those kind of things. You're going to see the flip of energy where they're now sensitive, and the sensitives are now taking back their power, and they're like, it's my turn, right? That superhero complex. So watch, be the observer in your life and see how you're witnessing people transition in energy, right? People who were once, like I said, very strong, confident, didn't take things personally, are now going to be super sensitive, and you're going to be kind of stepping on them, and they're going to be taking everything like, oh my God, your tone, right? So when somebody does that you wouldn't expect, just remember this, right? That we're going to have that flip in that energy. Okay. So let me see where I am. Oh, this is another thing. And I liked this analogy. So the South Node is going to want you to look in the book. So here's another example of that duality. Look in the book, right, for the answer. Look in the Bible, religious text, history. That's the South Node. It wants you to go back and look again, re-examine over and over and over again the same thing that happened. But if you think about that for just a second, what they were saying is if you keep focusing on the past, all you're going to be doing is recreating it. And you're just going through that circle, that loop. Okay. So for me, the message I always got was you have to stop doing the same thing a new way, thinking it's going to work. If it didn't work, it's not going to work. It's not meant for you. So stop trying to recreate the wheel. Stop trying to do the same thing that you've been doing over and over again over the years a new way. You have to let it go. Because if you don't, you're just going to continue to repeat the past. It will show up. Those same issues will show up in a new form. Now, the North Node says, doubt everything and create your own truth, your own way, light your own path. And that's why, as we're watching duality take this main stage, right? And we're watching the ship play out over the next 18 months and beyond. But really, the next 18 months to 2 years is where the bulk of the breakdown, so the rebuilding, can happen. Okay. So with that being said, the North Node says, when you're ready to let go, I'm going to be here to guide you, because the solution is in the North Node. It's in the unknown. You have to lean into that unknown so that the truths can be revealed. Your light can be revealed, right? So the unknown is dark. It's the void. It is the quantum field. It is the space of creation. And when you step into it, your light shines and you have clarity. You see. It doesn't mean that you're still not feeling vulnerable. It doesn't mean that you're still not nervous or feeling anxious because it's unknown. Those are all very human things, and you're allowed to feel them. But it also is a commitment to saying, okay, this is my problem or my block, right? Or my issue, my limit, my upper limit. If I step into the unknown, where I know I'm guided, but I'm fearful, but if I step into it, that's where the solution is. And we have to break this pattern. And so we may collectively go through this wheel a few times before enough people get sick of promises being broken and things not being done in integrity. And again, they rally the troops, right? Local grassroots, and rising up and saying, it's my time. I'm not going to listen to somebody outside of me who thinks they know better than me. I'm going to choose. Because if you guys haven't noticed, the media, the government, the senators, the president, all of them, while they don't all have bad intentions, but it's all politics. It's all money. It's all greed. It's not for the people anymore. So people are going to get sick of this, and they're going to say, enough's enough. And the rebellion's going to begin. Because what I will tell you is they have made this very clear. It's never going to go back to the way it was. And if you try to make it go back to or hold on to the way it was, it's going to create suffering and discomfort in your life. But if you can let go and say, okay, things are never going to be the same, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It means I get to say, did I even like the old way? Like, what did I like about the old way? Whether it's the old way that the world works or the old way you work, right? Did you like it? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? What would you like to happen? How would you like to operate your life? How would you like to make money? How would you like to find stability within you? How would you like your relationship to look? Where would you like to live? Right? So this is a time where we get to step into our creation and start creating and building the new earth. And if you are someone like me who is an inspiring influencer or a spiritual teacher or a coach or a healer or whatever, and you've been kind of dabbling in it, but you're like, man, I'm feeling that call. There's a reason for that, right? Because it's your time to shine. It's your time, but that means that you will have to commit to yourself into your mission. That means that you will have to choose to put yourself first and to go all in, especially in times where it's uncertain. But we need it. The new earth depends upon people deciding that they're no longer going to live in the status quo and that they're done being bound by the word money, by the word time, because time's changing, right? I talked about that time hop. Time is speeding up, but you have the ability to slow it down by being present. By being present and in your body and in whatever's happening, right? And how to hold space for yourself and another. So as duality is playing out, as you're seeing these new truths being unrevealed, and I want to say this. I want to say this because as you guys have seen already on social media, it's a little cray-cray out there, right? We got people who are all the way red pill, all the way blue pill. We have the new age people. We have the 3D people. We have the enlightened people. We have all these different aspects out there. And everybody thinks their truth is the truth. And if that's you, that's okay. I'm not judging you. But what I am going to say is this. And my human aspect finds I have my moments as a human as well. When you're reading, watching something, if it doesn't resonate with you, if it makes you sick, if it makes you angry, if it makes you feel something, that is your cue to receive from your emotions that raw energy, that raw information, and choose for yourself. Is that your truth? It doesn't mean that that person is right or wrong, because there is no right or wrong. What it means is it's not your truth. It's not something that resonates with you. So when you see these people out there preaching or bitching or sharing their truth, and you're like, that's damaging information or that's not right. No, it's just not right for you. But those people have a place in this world because we have to, when we talk about multidimensionality, we have a role to play. And sometimes we play the villain, you guys. Sometimes we have to be the villain. Sometimes we're the one that ends the relationship or that pisses somebody off, triggers them, right? Whatever it may be, cuts somebody off in traffic. Let me get a drink of water here. And so that person who's online, who's triggering you or preaching something that isn't in alignment for you, that's their job, because they are going to trigger people. They're going to get people frustrated and anger. And what is anger, right? Anger is something that we project when we're grieving internally. And when we're grieving, we're letting go. That's what grieving is. We're letting go of what was. And when we're holding on to what was, we put out a wall of anger sometimes to kind of be a shield for what's vulnerable inside as a way of protecting. But also, anger is there to liberate. So if you're not liberating yourself from your problem, you can develop dis-ease in your liver, and you don't want that. So look at them and ask this question, whatever it is, right? Whatever you're reading, whatever you're hearing on the news, the media, whatever it is that you're into, if somebody triggers you, if they say something that has an emotional and, invokes this emotion inside of you, receive from the emotion. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to tell me right now? If it's anger, it's trying to liberate you. It's saying, that's not your truth. Create a new way. This is not your path. Create the new way. If you don't like what people are doing and what this is representing, then if it's something that just gets your blood pumping, then that's your big ass banner that says you're here to create a new way. Maybe for that piece, maybe for something else, right? But this isn't it. And if it makes you sick to your stomach, if there's an emotion, right? Feel into it, right? Feel into it. This is why I like in everything I do, but in Unity especially, I talk about how to read your body and how to communicate and discern what family member inside of you is speaking, because you want to understand what they are offering you, what they are saying to you. Now, that's you personally. Now, what I'm saying is, instead of commenting and starting a war with them or battling, I'm right, you're wrong, here's my perspective, you can do that when you feel called. But I wouldn't do it if it's coming out of a place of fear, and I wouldn't do it if it's coming out of a place of anger, because they're not going to hear you. They're not going to hear your truth, and they have a job. They have a role to play, right? Right now they're playing the villain, or they're playing the villain for you, or whatever the case may be, right? And then there's times when we play the grace holder, the healer, the mother energy, the nurturer. And then there's times when we play the leader. So we have all these roles within us that we are here to play. So when you're looking at stuff on social media, understand that even if you can't understand logically or emotionally why people do what they do, because that happens, right? We look at some of the stuff that's being disclosed and we say, I can't understand how they could do that. We're not meant to understand it. That's a role they need to play so that the rest of society will have their mind blown wide open, so they will wake up and begin to choose their own pathway to create their new way, because so many are still looking up to the government, right? Or their bosses or whoever and saying, okay, what can I move now? Can I do this now? Is it my turn now? Mother, may I? And we are the creators. Now, that doesn't mean that things don't. I think there's a misconception about the term create your own reality. It doesn't mean things don't happen to us. Situations, circumstances, right? We don't create individually hurricanes and earthquakes and all of these things, right? But our response or reaction emotionally is what creates our reality. Because I don't know about you guys, but I have been thriving in this downtime, in this isolation. I have been thriving. I have been excited. I have been giddy because I knew what was coming. I was able to enjoy and make the best of it, right? And if you were someone who was on the front lines and you're pissed about that, there's a message for you within that, right? And if you're somebody who enjoyed it, enjoyed the break from their life, that's got a message for you too, right? So we're being asked to choose for ourselves. Here are your options. You got this one, the old way and the old beliefs and the old way we've always done things and the things that don't no longer serve us collectively and individually. And then this way, which we get to create, and we get to say, well, I like a little bit of this and I like a little bit of that and I like a little bit of this. And that's going to be my soup. That's going to be my reality. And that's really important for us to remember and take away from this. So just accept people for where they are. Accept them for where they are. See them for where they are. Because you know how you master Gemini? You become the observer of your reality. You observe the human in you. You observe the child in you. You observe the higher self, the guidance. If you look at it, they're showing me this right now. The North Node, let's just say that represents the higher self, right? And the South Node represents the body and all the stuff that's hidden deep down within. So you see how far apart that is? So as we move through this month, I'm going to say probably the second or third week in between there, we're going to have this rest period. So this is how I see it. I see like this, we're going to have this big rise up with the Scorpio new moon, which is Thursday, by the way. And Scorpio is deep emotion, like bottom of the well, stuff rising up, right? So as we lead into Thursday, you guys are going to watch, and then probably actually until about the 10th, we're going to have a lot of stuff boiling up, and then it's going to kind of explode up a little bit. And then we're all going to go into the settling period where we kind of take that time to heal, to have compassion, to kind of allow all the excitement and anxiety we were feeling from that big rise to kind of settle back down into our nervous system. And then we're going to be asked to reset. We're going to be asked to kind of go within again, right? For this, like probably around the new moon, we'll feel that it's time to go within. It's time to really kind of reset everything. And so right now that, remember, full moon, everything rises up. New moon, we plant new seeds. So between those two, we're going to have this kind of time where we're going to settle a little bit. And as we go into the new moon towards the end of the month, this is when it's about creating a new way. It's being more sensitive to our environment and to what we do want, how we do want to live, and really kind of like living for your nervous system, really not being in environments that are highly triggering, and really giving your space, that time and space to heal. And as we get to the end of the month, we're really going to start to see some freaking action, right? So this is when you're going to start to see people like, no, this is it. I'm taking my power back. Right. And so you're going to start to see those people coming out of that saying, what seeds do I want to plant? And they're going to say, I'm done with this. I'm done playing these games. It's time that we take back our country, take back our towns, our communities, where we start sharing food again and growing food again and working together locally. And we stop looking so much to the government and we start taking things into our own hands. And that is super important, you guys. And that's why if you're someone who's feeling that call to be a leader of the new earth, to build into the new earth, please answer that call. Step out. If you need help, find a mentor, right? Find somebody, whatever. Do what you have to do to take back that power and be that leader, be that change that we are and so desperately need. We need influencers and leaders out there that are for the people and not driven by money. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't make money doing this. It doesn't mean that we don't profit from the hard work and the love that we put into it. It means that we don't do it for the money. There's a big difference. We're doing it for ourselves and for humanity, but we're allowed to be wealthy. Okay. And this is a change that's going to be happening collectively as well, because so many people have seen money as security and it's just a piece of paper. What happens when they take that from you and say, oh, guess what? Now you get a number and you're digital. You're going to lose your shit because you're like, where's that tangible money? Right? So we're learning that wealth and prosperity is a flow. And that we're allowed to have it. We're allowed to be wealthy. We're allowed to be happy. And it means nothing. It means that we're enjoying our life. And when we enjoy our life, we tend to give a little bit more, don't we? Because if you're in lack and separation and you're really low, you're not really motivated. to give from your heart space. You're more in a motivation of, I need. It's a different mindset. So that shift is going to be happening for us too. So tomorrow, we got the North Node, South Node transiting, which we talked about. Gemini going in from Cancer to Gemini, Capricorn into Sagittarius. On May 7th, which is a Thursday, we have the full moon. It's the last super moon in Scorpio. Again, deep emotional well shit coming up, right? A lot coming up to the surface. A lot coming up collectively onto the surface. This can be exposed and given life so they can be seen, felt, heard, understood, and then released, let go. And as we let go, it changes form. It changes from density to light because we've let go of it and we just release that love and the particles can now separate, right? It's not something hard and concrete anymore. And then on the 13th, we have some planets going into retrograde. So where did I put that? Because this is important and I want to make sure I have my little date list here. Oh, here it is. So we have Venus, Saturn, and Jupiter all going into retrograde, joining Pluto. And this is going to be stalling this May energy out. And so it's going to be stalling it out, dragging it out a little bit longer. And then as those planets end up going direct, that's when we'll be on the backside of the hump, if you will. And things will start to kind of go down, not downhill, but go into that flow, right? So as those planets start to go direct, when they do, we'll start to feel that flow returning and we'll be on the tail end of this and we'll be in the process where we're preparing for the new building, okay? And that's really important because we need to have all that's coming up, all this karma, all these unresolved emotional issues, all of it needs to be brought up to the surface, not so we can judge, beat ourselves up, not so that we can, tell people that they're wrong or that they need to change their life, so that we can observe it, so that we can be that, put it here and walk all the way around it and decide if this is something that is serving to us. What lessons can we pull, right? The wisdom. What lessons can we pull from it so that we can let go of the rest and the wisdom crystallizes within us. So let me see if anybody has any questions. Erica, oh my God, my thighs were in pain yesterday and achy. I wasn't sure why. How funny. That is really cool. I'm so glad that you commented and said that. Our body is such a good communicator. It tells us, and I posted on my business page, Erica, a picture of a body and it has like what emotions are stored and where. So look at that and see what might be coming up for you. Rebecca said that she's being pulled. And I think, Rebecca, you said you work with children. And that's, our children are going to be our new leaders, you guys. So it's up to us right now, the ones who feel like they are an influencer or a way shower, are feeling called to do so, to be that example. Because as we're being that example, our children are watching us. Because it's monkey see, monkey do. Okay, so if you don't like how your children are behaving, you need to look at what you're doing because they are a mirror. All right. It's important that we pay attention to that. Chantal says tense body, tense finances. Yep. Flow and gratitude and body equals abundance. Exactly. Good add to that. Okay. So we're coming up on an hour. Let me see if I have any notes that I haven't. This is, you guys, this is how I get my downloads. They're all over the place. The biggest thing that I want to reiterate is this rebalancing that's going to be happening over the next 18 months to 24 months. It's well overdue. It's well overdue. Okay. So don't take what happens collectively in the outside world personally, because it's not about you. What's happening in the government, in the schools, what's happening to our financial system, what's happening with things that are being disclosed and truths that are being revealed, they're not about you. The reason why things come up to the surface is because they're ready to be purged. Oftentimes we feel an emotion or a thought comes up and we attach to it and we think, oh my God, this is coming up again. No, it's coming up because it's ready to be let go of. So when you're sitting there and you're having negative thoughts or you're all of a sudden not feeling good, if you fight against it, if you, again, battle with it, that inner conflict, then you are holding on to it. And then that rubber band, because it's trying to leave and you're saying no, right? You're trying to, it's trying to let go and you're going, no, I'm holding on to dear life. This is my belief. This is what was. This has to be. It creates this tension. And that tension creates pain in your body. Just as Chantel said, tense body, tense finances. When you're tense and stretched, you have no room to receive. You can't hold space for yourself. And you're either going to explode or you're going to have a tower card moment where the world, something breaks, right? Something goes majorly wrong in your life. And sometimes that's what needs to happen for us. And if that's what happens, it's happened to me. It's okay. But pay attention to that. Don't allow it to get so expanded. When those negative thoughts comes up, when those stories come up, when those emotions come up, observe them. Be like, oh, this is coming up. Awesome. That means it's ready to transform. It's ready to turn into light. Right? We talk about holding space. People want to learn modalities and learn how to do all these things. Before you can bring new information in or hold space for somebody as an influencer, you have to make space in yourself. You can't hold a bunch of beliefs and density in your body and expect to be able to stand up in front of the world or in front of your community and hold space for them and really listen to what they need. You can't do that because you're filled with your own shit, right? So when you make space in yourself, then you can start receiving. That's when you can let your body relaxes and you start to play and you start to take things not so seriously. So as this world is, all this shit's playing out, don't attach to it. Just observe it. Just witness it. And if feelings arise, if thoughts arise, witness them. Write them down, right? I teach a process in Unity about how to interview those aspects of yourself, but you can just go into a journal, right? And just start connecting with those things and letting them go. Be like, yes, yeah, I don't want that anymore, right? But when a lot of times when those thoughts come up and those emotions come up, we attach to them and we start to have that rubber band effect where it's trying to go, it's trying to leave, right? But you are holding on. And so that's going to snap back. And then, you're going to have to start all over again. A new cycle repeats until you learn it. Right. And so that's why duality is on the main stage right now, because we have done enough of the going back in history and looking at what has happened and trying to make a new way out of a new version of the old ways. And that's why we keep repeating the same mistakes collectively, just as we do the same thing individually. So again, if something hasn't worked before, it's not going to work again if you put a flower on it or you call it something new. You're just putting a mask on it. You're just dressing it up. You have to let go and say, this isn't for me. I am going to try this way. And that's scary. That's scary. Rachel, her thighs were twitching. I haven't had any thigh stuff. But I knew there was a reason why I had to bring this up. It was so strange because I was like, well, why aren't they talking about like the body parts of Gemini, right? And how it affects them. They were just concentrating on Sagittarius, but now it makes sense with everybody's comments. So that's why I had to bring it in. I thought it was really strange. I almost didn't say anything about it, but that's where we are. So you guys, just know things are going to get tense. Things are going to get interesting. It's going to be a circus out there and you have a front row seat. So make the best of it, right? Don't take it seriously, but do listen to your body. Do listen to the thoughts that are arising, and listen to them objectively, not from a judgmental human point of view. Really listen to them objectively and ask, what it's trying to tell you. Really tune into your body, what's serving your body, what feels good to your body, what doesn't. And remember, when your body starts speaking to you through dis-ease or disease, right? Dis-ease, it means you're not listening, and your body is going to get your attention. And if you don't listen to the body, and sometimes it happens in different orders, right? Then you'll manifest that reality so that you can see what you're not listening to, or see what you're being in conflict with, right? So again, we are always manifesting. There is never a time when we are not manifesting. But we do it from our internal state of being, right? So if you don't have a lot of money, if you are struggling, if you are in conflict, whatever, that's going to show up in your finances, in your relationship. It's going to show up in the place that you spend a lot of time and attention with, because it's going to go for the path of least resistance. So it's going to say, what is she always focusing on? How can we get her attention? Oh, we have to mess with her relationship? We'll do that. Well, we have to mess with her finances? We'll do that. However we can get her attention is what we're going to do. So this is where we learn to master our internal family, and we master ourselves and how to become the change and be that change to lead the new way. Because it isn't up to the government to create a new way, you guys. It's up to us. It's up to us. All right. So that's what's going to be happening in the month of May. If you feel called to work with me or to be a part of my community, again, you can follow me on YouTube if you're not there right now. I have a free group. I have a paid membership group, and I have lots of options to help you really step into your power, help you be that new leader. So if you feel called and I'm someone you resonate with, you can always reach out, or you can go to johannaburkhardt.com. And just know there's going to be a lot of stuff coming up for me. So the radio show, The Breakdown, my radio show with Tanya Lee, is starting back up. We're going to be live Wednesday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be dual broadcasted on our YouTube page and on our Facebook business page. So you can catch us live every Wednesday at 8 a.m. And you're going to start seeing me live more and doing what I'm going to be calling conscious contemplations. Okay. So we've done conscious conversations, but we're going to do conscious contemplations. And this is going to be where I bring up topics that I'm contemplating or topics that my students are contemplating. And we kind of talk a little bit about it and really bring some inquiry into the world so that you can start questioning and going deeper within yourself. So I'm going to be doing that. So pay attention, get notified when I'm live, so you always are up to date. And we got big things coming this year. I'm not letting anything get in my way. No, whatever. We're going to find a way to get together in person and create retreats or experiences, because it is super important, you guys, that we connect on a human level. That's why we're here. Connection. All right. Connection, to have those mirrored relationships, to see where we can grow and expand from each other, to bring in love and grace for each other, to be the one that kind of pushes and nudges and provokes the other to kind of move into their path. We need that. That's why we chose to be here. Our whole purpose in having this earthly experience, right, was so that we could bring our light body, our consciousness, into a physical, dense environment and touch and taste and love and experience in a different way. That thirst. We weren't meant to come here and sit in our homes watching Netflix all day, twiddling our thumbs and just being house moms or house husbands, house dads, whatever. We were meant to drink life up, to live in color, to experience all things, not to hide our power, not to sit in fear. So live it up. Get your groove back. Get into the joy of things. Go beyond where you are. You got this. You got this. You can do this. All right. And I'm holding space for you. So I love you guys, and I will see you soon. Bye.